This trap is a double-sided metal mask that sits around your neck. It has a lot of thick, sharp nails embedded in it. Fail to find the key on time and it will slam shut over your head, driving the nails into your face and skull. I get Springlock suit vibes from this device. When you lose and this Venus flytrap devours your head whole, you'll endure an intense sensation of whiplash, but that's the least of your worries. As dozens of thick, twisting nails penetrates your flesh, you'll feel as if a bomb of napalm and shrapnel has exploded inside of your mouth. The deep, vibrating, nauseating burning will overtake your senses. You'll hear a sickening crunching noise reverberate from ear to ear as your skull bone crackles like a boulder through a windshield. It's like 4,000 volts of electricity is pulsing from the tip of your head to your neck as the bridge of your nose and skull shatters into a sharp, jagged powder. If you're lucky, the mega sharp forces will render you unconscious and possibly brain dead in seconds, but there's a chance that you'll be left to bleed out, which can take far longer. This badass movie scene involves feeding a person headfirst through an electric bread slicer. It's not an accurate portrayal, but the real deal would actually be much worse. Initially, as the teeth of the dozens of vibrating blades penetrates your scalp, you'll be overwhelmed with many foreign nasty sensations. You have 12 different types of nerves in your cranium, and not a single one will be spared from severing. It will feel as if somebody placed you in a headstand on a Bunsen burner or cooking plate on high. The blade heat will pool beneath your dermis. As the blades dig into your subcutaneous tissue, it will feel like molten metals coating your scalp. Additionally, jarring electrical impulses will shoot down the base of your head and face as your skull meets the metal. This is the point that the slicer will jam. It doesn't have the power to slice through bone. This means your mangled scalp will just continue to be reassaulted as if hundreds or thousands of piranhas are eating chunks of your flesh. Unlike in the movie, death will come up to hours later from blood loss, and all that while you'll be forced to confront the raw agony. While today is not a good day, you come to attached to a very intimidating contraption that's actually inspired by the blood eagle torture method. In front of you is a glass beaker filled with acid with a key at the bottom. You have 60 seconds to grab that key and unlock the device. Finally, you find the resolve to go for the key. You are instantly overcome with bloody, bubbling, splitting, burning. Your flesh splits and spits. The horrific pain crawls past your wrist. Your nerves are screaming, making it difficult to function. It's unlikely you'd actually be able to grab that key. After 60 seconds, the many metal arms hooked to your ribs expands, taking your bones as well as flesh and tissue with it. The force will certainly shatter your ribs, pushing and pulling them in several directions. Sorry to say, death may not be instant. In all likelihood, bone fragments will pierce your lungs, triggering suffocation. You'll feel an abrupt, explosive, hot, ripping pain, transcending all expectations. Suffocation will take at least 6 minutes. If you're lucky, fragments will puncture your heart, causing your death to be somewhat instant. You might not want to hear this, but this actually can happen. In fact, there used to be tags warning of disembowelment on pool drains. I'll say it again, trigger warning. You'll feel a force unlike anything you've ever experienced. The drain cover needs to be removed first. The force is that of a vacuum that can basically suck 300 pounds per square inch. You don't stand a chance against it. The good news is that the scarce survivors have often said that they do not remember the pain, but if you do, it will feel like a giant zipper of fire beginning from your lower chest all the way down. Over and over, the burning zipper will rip and shred open inside of you. Also, you'll feel like you're gargling and swallowing lava, though that will likely be overshadowed by the latter. You'll be actively drowning all while this is happening. Massive blood loss will greatly weaken your fight. Your bubbles will be almost entirely sucked out of you. You lose consciousness within 2 minutes, with death following just minutes behind that. Time to put yourself in Amanda's shoes, except unlike Amanda, you don't beat the trap. 60 seconds lapses, triggering the device to open, which rips your jaw raw and wide. First of all, the trauma would no doubt shatter your mandible into tiny jagged fragments and trigger a crack from your temporal to your frontal skull bone. You will hear a god-awful crunching noise, but the pain of your nerves severing and exploding would overshadow the awkward pain of your broken bones. Then you must face the tragic misery of your tendons ripping apart. You will feel a full spectrum of types of pain. Only if you're lucky will you lose consciousness. The only saving grace is how heavily facial wounds bleed. Your body will weaken and your heart will begin to pound after 3 to 4 minutes. Your chest, throat, and head will grow hot and your vision will become distorted. You'll likely be dead of blood loss after 7 minutes and must contend with the explosive agony all that while. You're on a coaster and your cart comes loose on the tracks. You're going to go flying. Roller coasters can race at a speed of up to 140 miles per hour, and if you throw different levels into the mix, it's not going to give you a huge shot at survival. Those levels will basically turn into ramps. You'll likely be stunned at first. You were just on a thrill ride moments before screaming your head off. Your rational thinking switch will not be in use. Hate to say it, but you might be better off flying off at the coaster's high point. This will really increase your odds of dying on impact. Your brain will not have time to process any pain, so it will be a misery-free death aside from the fear of anticipation. If it happens at a low point, dying on impact effect is still a possibility due to velocity. However, if the card hasn't picked up speed yet, you'll likely obtain catastrophic injury and remain aware through it all. Luckily, your adrenaline will protect you from life-altering pain initially, but it may still catch up with you. Common injuries include broken ribs, spine, and pelvis, as well as ruptured spleen and, on occasion, decapitation. Internal bleeding is a common cause of death. This involves a character by the name of Christian. He's one of the main antagonists of the film. He's given a paralytic stuffed in a bear carcass and set up for his sacrifice. So first the obvious, he cannot move, but this will not aid in the pain, and it doesn't do anything to quiet his utter internal terror. He's placed inside of a teepee surrounded by flammable straw and the building's lit on fire. Once the 1800-degree flames consumes the bear carcass, his epidermis will spit and split open as the searing penetrates deeper. Next, his dermis will shrivel and peel away, allowing melting fat and subcutaneous tissue to spill out. His nerves would not quite be toast yet, so he will feel all of the soul-scarring, burning misery. Considering the many flammable agents, it's safe to say he would likely die from thermal decomposition, which means the extreme heat causes the body to actively decay. Sadly, he would endure around 2 minutes of the worst imaginable pain before dying.